Well, good morning, boys and girls. I hope you're enjoying no more homeschooling now that it's the summer holidays. Woohoo! And before you know it, though, you'll be going back to school. Yes, even better. Well, our story today is about the walls of Jericho and how God helped the Israelites get into Jericho and take over that city. And can you guess where I am this morning? Well, I'm sure you can, it's very noisy. I'm down at the wall outside the manse. And imagine I said to you, okay, I want this wall knocked down. What would be the best way of doing that? What might you do? Well, you might get a great big hammer, or you might bring in a digger. Lots of different ways you would knock it down. What if I said, I would like you to march round the wall, round the house 7 times, blowing trumpets and shout, and the wall would fall down. So here's a really noisy tractor coming. Who's this? Oh, that was a big John Deere right past. If I said, walk round the wall, shouting and singing, do you think the wall would fall down? No. But when God told the Israelites to do that, that's exactly what happened. The walls fell down. Another John Deere. And we're going to watch the story now. So here's the story coming up.
The Faithful Hall of Fame, Joshua. This is Joshua.
Oh, hey.
Joshua was the leader of the Israelites, who God used to bring his people to the Promised Land.
Yeah, let's do it.
When God told Joshua it was time to take the Promised Land, Joshua sent spies into the city of Jericho. While those spies were in Jericho,
Come on!
they were protected by a woman named Rahab. The spies promised to spare Rahab and her family when they took back the land.
Yay!
And she hung a scarlet cord from her window to remind them of their promise.
See you soon!
Now the Israelites had crossed the Jordan and were camped near the town of Jericho.
Hey!
Hello.
One day, Joshua looked up,
Huh?
and there was a man standing before him.
Hello.
The man said, I am the commander of the army of the Lord. Joshua asked what the man wanted to tell him, and the Lord said he wanted Joshua to take the city of Jericho,
All right.
but that Joshua needed to follow his instructions exactly.
You got it.
Jericho was shut for fear of the Israelites.
Anyone home? Yeah, well.
No one came out and no one came in. So the Lord told Joshua to gather his soldiers and march around the city for 6 days.
Mark.
The priests were to take the Ark of the Covenant, and 7 priests were to go in front of it, blowing a ram's horn. On the 7th day, they were to march around the city 7 times and blow the horn. Then all the people of Israel were to give a great shout,
Then what?
and then the city walls would fall.
Whoa! Yeah, let's do it.
So Joshua said, Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. And the people did shout. And the walls did fall.
Let's go!
The Israelites overtook the city of Jericho as God had commanded.
Rahab.
They remembered Rahab because of her faithfulness. Joshua was faithful in carrying out God's commands, and the Israelites took many other cities as God told them they would.
Oh, nice.
For God will never fail to fulfill his promises. So the Israelites came to live in the land that God had promised Abraham, Isaac, Israel, Joseph, and Moses many years ago.
Great story. I hope you enjoyed that. And you know, Joshua and all the Israelites had to put all their faith and trust in God, that he would do what he promised he would do. You know, and I sometimes think as Joshua and the Israelites were walking around the city of Jericho, the first day, the second day, the third day, probably what happened was the people living in Jericho who were not nice people probably started shouting things at them and calling them names, or maybe throwing things at them and thinking, what are you doing? This is so silly. And sometimes when we follow God and do what he says, the people in the world will make fun of us and maybe say things which aren't nice to us. But you know, it's the best way to live. And those people inside Jericho, they didn't believe in God. And the way they were living was not good, and it made God very angry. And God made the walls of the city fall down, and Joshua and all the people, they went in and they took that city. And they continued to do that, and God used them in amazing, amazing ways. And it teaches us that God wants us to trust him and follow him, and that sometimes when things in life seem really, really hard and we don't know how, maybe we're going to do something or get through something, or it might be an exam or changing to a different school or moving home, things that seem really difficult. All we have to do is trust in God, and he will be with us and he will help us. Great story. Now, there's a song coming up, and it's a song about Joshua and the walls of Jericho, and there's some great actions to it. And it's one of those songs that when you hear it, it's really hard to get out of your head. So hope you enjoy it. Here it is. Take care.
Have you ever had a song stuck in your head? Well, you're about to have that happen to you now. Here are the Superbook Show dancers with Joshua Fought the Battle of Jericho.
Jericho, Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. You can talk about the men of Gideon, you can talk about the men of Saul, but there's none like good old Joshua and the battle of Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. Right up to the walls of Jericho, with spear in hand, go, go, then ram horns, Joshua cried, 'cause the battle is in my hand. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. Then the ram sheep horns began to blow, and the trumpets began to sound. Joshua told them to give a shout, and the walls came tumbling down. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down.
Stuck in your head, right? I did warn you. Click the links for more of our Superbook dancers. And there is a link below for their DVD. Now, I'm off to find a city I can conquer. His word is forever alive. Miriam fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Miriam fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came